All right, we are live. Let me see if I can get you in here, Joey.
Different Joe.
A different Joe. Yeah. Not network bits. Very different dude. Let's see, Joey. Helium Foundation, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool. Yeah, you can see that we're not not totally prepared for this one, or at least I wasn't. Today is February 12th. We'll see if we can burn through the deep in news at the top of the show, first 10 minutes, and then we'll kick it off into the rest of it. Thanks so much for watching. What's up, Keenan? What's up, Kevin? Good to see both of you guys here. Okay, so let's see. Top of the hops is Onocoy. Yeah, let me get my glasses on so I can see what's going on. They're somewhere around here. And they are doing a deep in today right after this on X. So head over there and check out that. I think deep in is a newer show. It might have been going for a while, but kind of cool to see that those things are coming on board. Anyone has a new dev dashboard. Most of you can't see it. It's only open to top secret, super, whatever the fuck I am. And it's been fun to watch that. So if you are really feeling FOMO on that, don't sweat it. It's basically the same as the old one. It just works a lot better. And there's not a ton. I'm sure they would not appreciate me saying this, but there's not a ton that I see as a user that changes, other than that things that didn't work before now work. So in my book, that's a good thing. In Helium, okay, we talked about the free phone plan last time. Joey, we've missed you the last couple weeks, so we'll do some catch up on that when we come back to it. The only big news I saw on kind of Discord, Twitter, the announcement stuff, was that there's a Helium and Dawn Soiree on February 19th in Hong Kong. So that's pretty cool. Over in Hivemapper land, I saw that Ariel has announced that it's now Soylent only lunches at the Hivemapper office, which I think is funny just because Ariel's so awesome about making sure everybody comes in. Fairly sure that was a joke, but at least the Soylent thing was. They opened up new bursts in Los Angeles and Simi Valley. I'm guessing, and this is just a guess, so there's nothing to this. Has something to do with the fires and fire assessment. They also opened up some bursts in Mexico City and Jakarta. So super cool to see those guys pushing out all over the world. Wingbits only news that I saw was that they're heading to Hong Kong as well, to Consensus. So I think that's going to be the big news for a bunch of folks. In Spexi news, they're opening. It's Charleston, North Carolina. I thought it was Charleston, South Carolina, but maybe it's North Carolina. And Los Angeles are opening up. So if you have a drone and you're in Los Angeles and you're registered, was it FAR 103 or 107, whatever the thing is that you need to do for Spexi, and you're in LA, I think they said 2,300 Spexigons, like a shitload of Spexigons have opened up. So you can do a bunch of flying there. In WeatherXM, we'll come back and talk a little bit more about my personal stuff with WeatherXM, which is just that a buddy of mine reached out and asked me what weather station to buy, and I can tell him pretty confidently just get a WeatherXM. But they did a data quality report request on their Discord. So if you're a station owner and you would like to contribute to kind of the direction that they take data quality reporting, go fill that thing out. For me, I almost never check mine. And then when I do and it's down, I'm like, shit, I got to go fix this thing now. All I do is just look at the weather. And as long as I can see the weather on my station, I'm psyched on it. One of the things I would like to see is that I've had problems with this. The weather station is right there in the background for me. Is it will just freeze on a thing. So it'll look like the weather's totally fine. But it's actually the weather from like 4 weeks ago is what I had in one case. And because I live in San Diego and the weather doesn't change that much, I didn't catch that fast enough.
We got to get you the Helium one.
What's that?
We got to get you the Helium version.
Yeah, I've got a Helium one on the shop, and that works super well. Actually, that is the best performing weather station that I have. Funnily enough, I would have thought that the one that's right over my head with a LoRa connection directly to this Wi-Fi thing would be better, but it isn't. Let's see. I don't have a background for Masari stuff, but I saw that Dylan Bain had released a DPI, Decentralized Physical AI article, and I just translate that as the robots are coming. So I think we're just going to see a bunch of robot stuff, bunch of deep in stuff coming down the pipe. In MetSci news, I'm translating the site, so there won't be any updates until I get fully translated. The first part was super easy. I just hooked up an OpenAI API to Docusaurus, and it translated everything. And I was like, oh, great, I'm going to have this done by the end of the day. And then it turns out that because I don't know how to code and I'm just working with Claude 3.5 Sonnet and Cursor, all the details have held me up significantly. So everything's translated. I just can't get it working on the site. I'm not going to push it live until it's working. And then once it is, I've got this super cool article on actuarial IoT coming out, which is the idea that at some point for businesses, and this is very predictable, depending on local energy and water rates and business size, whether it's by head count or square footage, you're a fucking idiot as a business owner if you don't implement IoT into your systems. Just if you look at the numbers of like, hey, here's how much it saves on average, here's how much your energy bill is, here's how big your business is, all of these things, and when you add them up and you just run the tables just like an insurance company would do, you are not being a good steward of the business if you don't implement IoT. So kind of a cool idea there. And then Joey, I think you and I are working on the contract language for the foundation stuff for the grant, for the Business of Lorraine grant. At least I hope you are, because I sent an email over. But I think it's mostly Sam doing that. And that is the DePIN news that I've got. Oh, no, I've got one more thing. And down at the bottom of the description, there's a link to post your picture of your shirt. So if you have a make something every day, or you want to make something every day shirt, I don't know if you have yours on, Joey. Oh, you do. Nice. I've got I'm repping the Media Scientific shirt today, but I should have done the make something every day. Nice. If you want to win one of those, send us a picture of what you've been making and post it on Twitter on the link. I think it's in description. And then Joey and I will pick the best ones and send out a shirt. And if nothing comes in or they all suck, we're not going to pick one. Like, I'm not just going to send shirts to send shirts. I'm not going to burn Kevin's money on this because it's his project. But yeah, if you're making something rad, post it up. I've been working on a compost pile, so maybe I'll win myself another shirt. Keenan's got the Gristle King OG shirt. Yeah, I think I sent out a bunch of those. And then the second round of shirts I don't think they were as cool, but I still sent them out. And the sweatshirts were not as heavyweight, so they're like more appropriate for San Diego versus actual cold weather. But yeah, if you got an OG one, they're pretty warm. Cool. I think that's it. We have a special in the can. So Joey, if you've got anything that you'd like to announce, you just let me know. But tell me what's going on. I'll talk about WeatherXM in a second. What's going on with Helium Explorer? I think we missed that last time.
Yeah, I think a bunch of people that watch this have probably seen it, but we shipped, so with the Nova Labs development team, this is a Helium Geek collaboration. There's a lot of people work together to make this possible. Mm-hmm. But the new Explorer is called World. So world.helium.com. Mm-hmm. And you will be hit straight away with a big old coverage map of probably the mobile network. Mm-hmm. The IoT network has its own representation in there with a full RF model of every hotspot that is connected to a DIMO macaron today. So this is going to be the effectively new home for all things Helium when we think about coverage maps and sort of people's intro to the network. So Explorer redirects here, Planner redirects here. So it's a bit of a consolidation for us in terms of the surface area that you have to think about with Helium products. It's sort of something that's grown a little wild lately. And so the next steps for something like this is to start thinking about how we can further consolidate other surface area of the Helium applications. So if you're operating a mobile hotspot, you are in the hotspot dashboard, you're in Planner, you're in your Builder app, you're in Wallet. And so we will start to, think of this as the consumer facing like first touch point. And then there'll be another sort of parallel track that is like, I own a hotspot or I'm setting up a hotspot. And then what is all the stuff that I'm touching here? And you're straight into it. So we're looking at basically all of the coverage anywhere. And then you can click on any one of those hexes. You can see the hotspots that are providing coverage to that particular area. You get a sense for the redundancy and availability of coverage.
Nice.
And then you can even drill down to an individual hotspot and see the coverage that one hotspot is providing.
Got it. Okay. Well, this is a nice segue because I had a question about this from a guy yesterday, who's like, hey, I want to put a weather station on a local paragliding spot called, this is so awesome, Whale's Vagina. Not my name.
Getting a sense for what paragliders are about. Yeah.
And he was like, hey, is there coverage there? And I just pointed him towards the WeatherXM page and just said, hey, look, here's the Helium enabled station. I think it's the H2. Mm-hmm. And I think they link to something like this, but I don't think it's as sophisticated as this. And Wales V is right around here. So there's a drop zone right here, and I'm guessing he'd want to put it along in that general area, maybe here. So I'm not sure how well you can see the map or if anyone gives a shit about paragliding. But you see this like
That's
bowl
coming through
here
clear.
is where as the winds come in and hit these ridges and push up. This is both some ridge soaring and thermal triggers. So it'd be somewhere around here. I've been down there in a while.
I mean, based on the metrics, I'd say you should be good to go.
Yeah, I will. I'll pass it on to him. So that's super cool. And that was back to the WeatherXM thing. Was like, oh, it's pretty cool at this point. I don't think it used to be as true. Is that WeatherXM helium stations around the urban areas of the U.S. are now pretty darn good, and finding coverage for them is much easier than it was. And so it's reasonable at this point to recommend that, for me, to recommend to my paragliding buddies, like, go get a WeatherXM station. Where before it was like, hey, you got to check coverage, and I'll meet you out at this spot and I'll bring my coverage checker and we'll go through this whole thing, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I still have weather stations out that don't have great coverage, and there's some problems with the way, and I think these are inherent problems. They're not things that the WeatherXM team has messed up, where they transmit the GPS whatever confirmation readings as a blob so big that if you're on a slower connection or there's something with it where it doesn't always get through. So even though you'll get the wind reading and the direction reading and like the things that are important to pilots, it won't always get the GPS coordinates through. And if it doesn't get those through, then it can't confirm its location. If it can't confirm its location, it doesn't earn tokens. And so for me, it's a mild irritant that I lose like 13 cents a day on a weather station that's actually working and being used by people who are into weather, but I'm not getting my monkey bucks. So
Interesting. I would have guessed that the GPS payload was smaller than the other one, but yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, I've had the
they
problem a
said
couple
that was
times with this one station that I was like, you know what, fuck it, it's doing the weather. I'd never expected to get rich on any of this stuff. The only time you do really well is if you're just super early, and for the most part those days are over. So it's just like, as long as you're getting function out of these things, whether it's a helium hotspot and you're looking for lower wind coverage, or it's a WeatherXM station and you actually want to see what the weather is, or DIMO or Spexi or whatever, like you're actually using the thing that you're supposed to be using, that's a great reason to do these projects. If you're like, hey, I'm going to pay off my mortgage with it, that ship has more or less sailed.
Yeah, I mean, I find a lot of utility. It's a very nice application wrapped around a very robust platform. I have my friends will message me and be like, hey, how much rain did you get up there? And I just send them screenshots from the WeatherXM app. It's very smooth and it's very up to date. Like you get the updates every 3 minutes, I think it is. So I'm never guessing, like, did this thing update? It's always there.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm
big
seeing
fan.
if I can unfuck my lighting system, which clearly I'm not doing right now.
I liked that it was moody before. That's looking good.
Yeah, now it's like ultra bright. I've got these two lights up, and it's nice when I can manipulate them. But every so often, their Elgato key lights is what they're called. Is they just decide like, nah, I'm not going to work today, or I'm going to be ultra bright, and you're not going to have any control over me. Oh yeah, look at that. There's some old school work right there.
Yep. There we go.
Beautiful.
Better. Yeah.
So yeah, and it goes a little into the and I'm not sure how appropriate all of this is to talk about. I feel like it should be generally open. Is this Helium grant for the Business of Lower Wind podcast?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things, like I was running a podcast in like 2010, maybe as early as 09, definitely in 14, 15. And I always like podcast stuff. And I always also recognize that for the most part, once you get to a certain level with podcasting equipment, normal people, 90% of people they can't tell the difference, right? Most people won't know the difference between this microphone, which is an RE20, or an ATR 2100. This is like a $400 microphone, or an ATR 2100, which is like an $80 mic. Like it just doesn't.
Or my
come through.
AirPods.
What's that?
I'm sure you can tell the difference between my AirPods and your nice microphones, though.
No, I think that's the funny thing is we get complaints on this site, or I get complaints on this show where it's like, oh, your microphone's too quiet. And there's this aspect of as you get nicer mics, it just gets more complex. And the earpods are doing a ton of shit in the background where you're like, yeah, I just put them in and turn them on. And I'm going to guess for most people, they sound just as good as anything else. But I was like, dude, I always like to have nice stuff and I want to do like the best job possible. And so one of my things in this business, the LoRaWAN thing is like, oh, if I can get this thing up to 5,000 downloads an episode, which seems to me insane and probably not doable. And that will happen well after this grant period is over. I've got my eye on this like specific part of the signal chain that's like, dude, I've always wanted one of these things. No one will ever be able to tell a difference except me because I'll be looking at it, but it'll be like badass sound.
Yeah.
But that goes
makes
down the line.
I mean, like in the early days of like YouTube high quality stuff, you had like the Marquez Brownlee going and shooting phone reviews on Red cameras, right? And it's like, what is this guy doing? And it's just like, turns out a lot of those details do matter. People do perceive that sort of level of quality and professionalism in the content. So, you know, while the average person can't put their finger on it, I think they do notice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I mean, you're running earpods now. People are watching this live. I'm running this RE20 and no focus, right? I don't know if anyone's telling any difference. And Travis usually is like, yeah, you got to hum on your microphone. I'm like, fuck, I got to fix something else.
So. Either Travis or Jerem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jerem's got ears like a bat. So, although both of them worked, and I think they've talked about this publicly, like they both have been like professional musician working people. Jerem played keyboard for some pretty famous reggae bands, which I always think is hilarious. Would not expect that. And I've heard him play the piano for me. He's really good. And Travis has done a bunch of sound stuff too. So.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have that ear.
No. I did just read a book called 40 Watts from Nowhere, which is about a lady who is running a pirate radio station in first San Francisco and then down in Los Angeles. Short book, super easy read. I think I read it in like a day and a half, like 2 sessions in the evening. Really fun though. Just like it reminded me a lot of my journey with Helium, where I just wanted to put these things out in mountaintops and I didn't know any of the technical stuff. And so I had Germ and other folks kind of walking me through, this guy called Cogs out in Colorado, walking me through like, hey, here's how you split the packet forwarder from the, I forget all the names now, from the actual miner. Like, here's how the whole thing works. And they would walk me through it. And then I'd go run out in the mountain and call them from the top of it and be like, hey, I got shitty coverage, but this one thing's happening. What should I do?
But yeah, cool. It's still fun stuff. I've been working on the side a little bit on another grant, trying to help somebody along on the sort of grant writing and approval process.
Yeah.
But for building what are we calling it? Multi-gateway client. So rather than having that one packet forwarder to one miner instance that goes into Helium, being able to take like entire fleets of existing LoRaWAN gateways, whether it's, those are company owned or whatever.
Yep.
And then just pipe those into a client that interfaces with Helium. Jay,
I think you're getting set up here.
Should we? I think I am being set up. Yeah, here we can.
What kind of fancy antenna is that, Joey?
Yeah.
Ooh. What have we here?
There's an indoor hotspot covering the coffee shop downstairs. So
nice.
Yeah, that guy touches, I think, carrier 1 and 2.
Okay.
But then, sees some like 300 or so unique subscribers a day. So
Jesus, how do you see that? I haven't even looked at that thing. Like I haven't paid much attention at all.
What a wonderful question, Nick. If you open world.helium.com.
Oh, really? Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, let me see if I can do it then without sharing my crazy screen again. Jeez, I've got to put my glasses on for everything these days. Guess Joey's screen? No, screen share. I think it's this one. No. I guess that's it, right? That seems like it's a little big.
That's looking good. And then, if you flip into mobile, and then you can pick any old hotspot. So it's the hotspot map. Yeah.
What the fuck is going on with this crazy thing? Oh, I think I just made it super big.
Oh, yeah, you're
All right.
covering all of us.
Oh, I'm looking like at the data traffic map, maybe.
No, this one will do it. And then if you just pick zoom into any old point there.
Okay. We'll go
And
into the
we
paleo treats.
haven't ripped out like offline hotspots yet. So there's odds you'll click on something that's just 0.
Okay.
But yeah, grab something you know.
Yep. So this is right at paleo treats. This must be the indoor one.
Yeah, and give that a little scroll down, and there
Oh,
you go.
cool. No shit. Look at that. Ha!
Yeah, that's touching some people.
Yeah, that's cool. Dang. And then I wonder what the other one is. So that's the one inside. And then there's one on the front. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So this one probably hasn't been picked up by the carriers. So you're seeing, about
Nothing.
1 user a day.
Yep.
You can mouse over that sort of line chart, and it'll tell you, so yeah, 2 users, 4 users. So it kind of varies day by day.
Why would this one not have been picked up by a carrier? Like, what do I do? I have to do anything? Is that important for me to mess with this?
There's nothing for you to do particularly. The process is that they're constantly going through the list of available hotspots, making selections, passing those along to carriers, and then keeping sort of a constant feed of stuff going into those carriers for approval. The cadence is roughly every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it's
so
largely
for, like,
awaiting.
the indoor one is cranking and the outdoor one is sucking.
Yeah, and it's the total trade-off, right? Let me see if I can. Recipe.
Let's see if I can get it. So I do this. Cool. Well, that's super cool, Joey. Shit.
What was the name of that one? It was Raspy something.
Oh, Raspy Goldenrod Walrus.
Okay.
Joey is finally doxxed. I don't think you are, Joey.
I think somebody has figured out what's in the background here before.
Okay.
Raspy Goldenrod something?
Walrus.
Walrus.
Yeah. I was going to share my thing again, but I'm also going to look at my house real quick.
Yeah. So I see Carrier 2 and Carrier 4, and so Carrier 2 is a big one, and Carrier 4 is a small one. So that's what's active on your indoor hotspot.
Huh. And on my fucking house, only one of my hotspots is even showing up on this map. Weird.
You can, if they're both right within the same pin, you'll have a little tooltip that'll pop up, and then you can actually sort of arrow between the ones that are within that.
Oh, hotspot 1 of 2. Sure enough. Fucking A, Joey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's cool. Neither of
Gotta
them are
give a
doing very
lot
much,
of
but it's in a
credit to the
residential
devs that
area.
have been building this. Yeah. And I wouldn't expect a lot in a residential area, of course.
Okay. That's super
And then
cool.
your outdoor, what was the name of the one at the outdoor? That's
Let
it.
me, I'll bring it back and we'll take a look at this. Let's see. The outdoor one is Mammoth Peanut Boar. I think I can go back to this now. Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't have any major carrier selection. It is offloading for Helium Mobile and one of the smaller carriers.
Got it. So it's getting like my phone and that's it.
Yep, your phone and some basically like government subsidized phones and stuff. Yeah.
Huh. And there's nothing I can do to be like, hey, this is deployed outside. It's right across from the post office. You should probably get this thing going so I can make more of these monkey bucks. Like Helium Mobile doesn't care about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do. So the relationships with the carriers are owned by Nova, and they're not really seen as a until those carriers go and directly onboard to the network. It's going to sort of be Nova's responsibility to filter and pass those through. So Nova can, for clients that they're dealing with and stuff like that through the sales team, like they can say like, oh, we know that this thing is legit. We know who you are. You've doxed yourself, like all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can go make a recommendation based on that. So for folks that have those relationships, that's kind of an easy thing. But for the average folks like you and me, like we're largely going and deploying and kind of crossing our fingers.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, didn't realize there are hotspots at Paleo Treats, Nick and Lee Docks. Yeah, no, come on by. Anyone can come by and connect. I mean, it's a fucking business. So 3275 Adams Avenue, San Diego, California, 92116. Come by and buy some Paleo Treats.
Bring cash.
Yeah, you bring cash and bring whatever you want.
Crypto. Yeah.
Yeah, we take crypto. Although I've got to go check. I was just looking at our crypto wallets. We got like QR codes. They almost never get used. And we always laugh because every time someone buys a cookie, the cookie's are already expensive. The treats are expensive. It's like $8 for a little cake and $6 for a treat. Is if you buy it with Ethereum, I mean, people were buying it when Ethereum was $800 and now it's 3,000. So it's like, that was a really pricey dessert.
Yeah. This coffee shop had some folks from Base come by and they were trying to pitch them on converting, doing some stuff. I need to find a good Solana equivalent to pitch them down there.
So for folks watching this, I mean, everyone is fairly self-interested. I'm certainly no exception. Is my takeaway from this is that I should have gotten more indoor hotspots, but I'm also guessing that's like the wrong takeaway. And the takeaway is just like, dude, just wait and be patient and these things will all fill in.
That's the better takeaway. So
Okay.
carrier one likes I might have this backwards, but of the two big carriers, one likes indoor and one likes outdoor.
Got it. And when you're saying carrier one, that's not the name because that's the name of another thing. That's just like the name of whatever secret carrier that is using this thing. Okay.
Yep. Yeah,
Got
we
it.
still alias them because, reasons.
Huh. Oh, there's another hotspot down here. Dang, this is kind of cool.
It's really fun. I've been having a lot of fun just even poking around this thing. So it's been really exciting to see it come together.
Dude, this person just deployed this 25 days ago. Can I do this? Yeah. Yeah, so within the last within the last month, they put this up. It's an indoor hotspot. They're not
It's
earning
like
shit.
residential area. Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
Did they get
well,
any
this is-
mobile?
What's up?
Oh, so there's an HNT and mobile switcher on the tokens earned. And that'll go
tokens
away,
earned,
of
okay.
course, in about 30 days.
Is there?
Over
How do you
right.
do? You click it? Like what happens?
Yeah, that little right side.
little what?
All the way to the right of the box.
Oh, of
There
course,
it is.
Nick.
Yeah. There it is.
I see. So they're
Yeah, so they-
18 or mobile. All right.
So maybe this was one that was activated and then isn't doing stuff. So we're not reflecting heartbeats or sort of uptime status on this page yet. Like I said, we basically need to map an algorithm that says when things come on and when things come off. So
And is there a way? So I'm thinking like some of these here, like anything along this main street should be pretty good. This dude has had hotspots for a long time. And this is like a cool little commercial area. There's a great pizza place right here and a ripping Mexican place right across.
outdoor? All right. So you've seen a bit of traffic there.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Just to like cruise around and see this stuff. And he's got 2 outdoors. So this one's crushing. Looks like 42
Yeah.
gigs seems like a lot.
42 gigs, quite a bit.
But average daily users is 0 per day. Is that just for today or what? I'm not tracking.
That's on the 30-day rolling. Yeah. So it looks like some of those days are 0. Some of them are 2. Yeah. So this could just be like he has Helium Mobile and this is traffic coming through his devices.
Yeah. Okay. I got to get more people on the on Adams Ave here to get these hotspots up. This stupid stuff in residential is not that great.
Yeah. Light it up.
Okay. Light it up. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, that was kind of cool, Joey. I didn't realize it was so dang useful.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's always something happening in the background. So it's nice once these things get published, I can stop being like, well, I'm working on stuff. Like that's what we're working on. So
Yeah.
One of many.
Let's see. How would you go? I think so. This dude Goose is asking how would they go about making contact with Nova. I work directly with chain restaurants, and I started deploying within them. It sounds like you probably can't do that, right? Like I guess you could reach out to Nova.
Yeah, you can, especially if you're buying a bunch of hotspots and you're doing that direct through Nova, they probably already know who you are. If you're buying them through the website, like you can go do that through the sales team and they'll work with you directly. I think just hit up, I think there's a couple of links on helium.com. There's probably a couple links on heliummobile.com.
Okay.
If not, I think it's sales at Nova Labs or something like that. I didn't come prepared with the exact email.
Yeah. No, it's no big deal. And then this dude, are we talking about Peak? Zerptorp, I haven't been talking about Peak. No, we weren't. I'm sure they're doing great stuff, but I haven't been talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I forgot about there was like a minor war between Peak and Solana a couple weeks ago on Twitter, and I was just like, I'm staying out of this one.
People pick battles about the weirdest things.
It's fucking crazy. I'm watching the Hivemapper versus DIMO thing. I'm like, what are you idiots doing? You guys got to be nice to each other and build together.
Yeah, there's some major beef there, and then I don't know.
And I don't understand why. I think it's just because founders
Yeah.
are like prickly by nature. Like you have to be a founder, I think.
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
I guess they just rub themselves the wrong way. But I feel like if all the folks at DIMO and Hivemapper actually sat down and just had a couple beers, it'd be, yeah, like, oh, actually, what are we fighting about? Why don't we
Yeah.
help each other? How about that?
I don't think about this stuff. Like I'm just posting stuff I think is cool to Twitter, and then my comments will blow up with some particular direction. It's like, where did this come from? Like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's bot armies or what. But
Yeah.
always
Let's
something.
see. What else is going on? I think, is there anything on the grant stuff that you wanted to talk about on the MetSci side, just so we keep that as open as possible or out in the public? It's just like
Yeah.
details that I'm seeing.
What do you mean details?
Oh, just like, oh, how does this thing work and what are the milestones? So I think we just make this as instructive as possible. As I'd written this grant and I didn't perfectly follow the template. And so the grant was for this Business of Lorewine podcast and writing. And I put in milestones for like what happened every month, but I didn't put in payment milestones. And then I think there was one other thing that was like, it wasn't totally clear. So now Sam and fuck, how would I say that? You, me, and Sam are all like, all right, what does this actually mean? And then I guess the working group votes on it or not. It's not super clear to me.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe at this point we have to just do sort of a final approval around the working group already approved it
Yep.
conceptually, but maybe we just got to get that locked down and we give it a final thumbs up.
Yep. So if you're doing a grant, I would just say put in more details rather than less is my general takeaway.
Well, and to your credit, I think one of the things that showed really well is a very clear, concise presentation on what the thing was meant to do and what the impacts were going to be. And I think it's one of the things when we're looking at those grants, we're driven by impact and trying to understand like what is this going to do for our broader community. And yeah, I fully expect to see a lot more inbound of that nature and of a entirely different project set. We've got more work to do in that regard.
Yeah.
And we're still figuring it out. So like we might approve something and then realize, oh shit, that's totally infeasible. We have to figure out, who knows, right? So, bear with us. Like this is a community group that is doing this on a volunteer basis, and we're doing it within entirely best efforts. So
Is there there's no like honorarium for it? You don't get anything for being in the working group? There's no payment, nothing?
no.
Got to fix that.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's at a trade-off, right? Like, do we pay all these folks, or do we have an extra grant? And so, we're all sort of driven for the best outcomes of the network.
Yeah, I'm firmly on the side of people need to be at least compensated a little bit for their work in some way.
Right.
And I think if, obviously you're already an employee of Foundation, so that's kind of covers you. But for folks who are showing up and they have other things to do, like they have other business or work to do, we got to make sure we take care of those people.
Yeah, I definitely am aware of I'm fortunate enough to be employed by this project that I'm interested in. But at the same time, at this point, all of the work that I do for the IoT working group is in after hours.
These are on your off time. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that you've got like super special treatment, but you're certainly in a different situation than most. And this isn't something that you have to do. And it's also something that you could get hit with like the Congress thing where it's like, oh, you guys voted on a pay raise for yourselves. What the fuck? But I think at this point, like that's probably what should happen. And maybe that ends up getting written up as a HIP. And it's like, yeah, this is part of the H&T that gets designated to whatever, like however the fucking thing works now should be got to pay the folks.
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely something to think through. I wanted to bring up a note. You mentioned Hivemapper burst earlier. And I've actually been playing around with creating my own bursts, which has been kind of an interesting experience. So I
did
think
it
anyone can do
a while ago.
this.
It's super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just go click on some stuff and say go, and then it shows up in the app for everybody, and they can go drive it, and you get the images back.
Yeah.
So
It
like
was
I
rad.
did some here in the Bay Area, and it worked great. I tried to do some in Mexico, trying to better understand these hotspot deployments out there. That one didn't go, and I think my learning there was I just needed to make the boost bigger so that it A, showed up on the map more, and B, was a little bit more enticing for somebody to just kind of go out of their way and drive to it.
Oh, I can't remember. So when I did it, I was taking a run at doing this project that was basically stillborn. This idea, what did I call it? The quest, where it's like, oh, you show up at this place and you do like a treasure hunt around the city, and you interact with a bunch of different DePINs. I couldn't put it together well enough where I felt like everyone would be would be psyched to be a part of it. But as part of that, one of the things was you would interact with Hivemapper and bursts, and you take photos from Hivemapper bursts and find the location. So I put a couple bursts out in places that I like in San Diego, but I don't remember that I could make those bursts like way higher. So it was like, hey, this is real. You're really incentivized to get this.
Well, I don't think you can make an individual burst higher, but what you can do is just hit a whole lot more roads in that area.
Oh, I see.
So,
yeah. Okay. So it's like worth it to drive there because you drive 4 extra blocks and get 30 extra bursts or whatever. All right.
Exactly. Yeah. And then of course you like make yourself more prominent on the map too.
Yeah.
Because it's instead of just one street, you got like a whole neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I wonder if I could use that because Lee and I will be a little voyeuristic on like houses that go for sale around here. Is that both of us like really like our house, but we've got this like a, I don't know, thing where it's like, it'd be cool to live in that place. Like, what's that look like? And it'd be interesting as it goes on the market is like, oh, I bet that imagery that's on there is already pretty good, but I'd like to see what it looks like right now and just put a burst on that and see like, oh, actually it's a ramshackle piece of shit. Or like, we should definitely go to the open house.
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, I think the exciting thing for me is being able to go and just go into this platform, like file a request, and then the literal DPIN does the work. Right.
Yeah.
Just, obviously been doing that a lot with Helium since, the very beginning, but we're seeing all these other projects sort of reach maturity in that way.
Yeah. Let's see. I've been kicking around the idea of this is Frodobots. Is Helium is doing the free 3 gig, 3 GB plan, is getting all my Frodobots a free 3 GB. I just forget how much data they use. And I also don't know, I think those things have physical SIMs. You can't put an eSIM on them. I don't think you can. So that may be a problem. I haven't looked at the free plans at all and if you get a physical SIM or not, but I thought it was a cool marketing thing. It's like a free plan is pretty cool.
The free plan's pretty cool. It's been enough of a push that even some like my family members who just sort of loosely follow what I do are like, I'm gonna get this. Like, why wouldn't I? So they're trying it out. I'm harassing them for feedback. I'm pushing it to the Nova Labs team. Like, it's been a pretty exciting launch, and the adoption numbers have been just crazy for the number of people signing up.
I mean, why wouldn't you if it's free? I think the thing is, and I remember looking at this briefly when it first came out, is like, okay, if I'm on this thing for 3 months, is it going to then bump up to, $50 a month after that? Or is it free forever for 3 gigs or something else? And I just haven't paid attention.
Yeah. To my understanding, and I haven't personally read the contracts or like quizzed the team on this, but it is free forever. And because they don't have your credit card, like they can't just go, bump you up to a higher tier or anything. So it is truly in all senses of the term free, which is, pretty cool.
Super cool. Yeah. Let's see. I haven't talked about IoTex a bunch. Recently I haven't followed them a ton, but I want to make sure that we gave them some love on this thing. Nadix is another one that we haven't talked about recently. I talked to Ali Reza a while ago on Deep in State. And then Oculabs is one I'm also keeping an eye on just kind of all the time because I think Nils is a wizard at getting the word out. And certainly in this decentralized physical AI thing, they're going to crush. They're like, that's their jam.
Yeah. He's got all the cool robots. He's worth
I
a follow
heard,
just to see the robots.
yeah, he's got the, what is it, it's not Unilever, Unitree.
Unitree, yeah.
Unitree dog for $1,500 that does flips and whatever. I heard a great podcast with Mark Andreessen and Patrick O'Shaughnessy that invest like the best. And Andreessen was talking about the robots, and it was really interesting because their viewpoint is now way bigger than just the investing stuff. They had this whole political arm at A16Z where they realized that the politics are actually important and they couldn't ignore it. And that all, of course, came down in this last 4 years and then this last election. But he had some interesting points around this idea. Like, if there is, and it seems so simple, if there's a vacuum, you cannot expect that it won't get filled. And so just like China had this thing where it's like, okay, the U.S. isn't exporting chips to them because we're trying to keep a stranglehold on them, they'll just build their own chip factories. They'll just build their own, and then you have zero control over them. And it's the same thing with robots, same thing with cars, same thing with drones, all that stuff. If you look at Chinese drones, they're the best in the world. You know, and it's in part because we're not making these things here and we don't have this huge incentive to, but also in part because it's like, oh, we tried to put the boot on their throat and they're like, you know, we've been around 5,000 years. I think we're going to we're going to do something cool.
Yeah. No, that hard cutoff stuff never works. I even think like for the things that I've found myself building, it's because I couldn't get somebody else to do it, or it didn't exist or whatever. It's like, well, I'll figure it out. It's your same mentality with like 90% of the stuff you build, right?
Yep.
It's like, why isn't this out there? So yeah, it's a ridiculous thing to think if you're going to take it away that somebody's just going to like sit there and like
cry,
be sad about it or something.
No. A billion people are not going to sit there and be like, well, I guess since America says we can't do it, we're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
It's like we're so goddamn stupid at the highest levels. But that was super neat to listen to that. What else is going on? I've been working. Have you seen this lovable.dev thing?
No.
Lovable.dev is a way to like build your own website with an AI. And the way to think about it is you just describe what you want and then it will do it. And I should probably, let me see if I can pull up what I've got. Cause I was messing around with it. It's like, oh, make me a weather dashboard. And it made it, let's see. Let me see if I can pull this thing up and then I'll share it with you. It was just so cool though. And I think it was, I don't know, like $10 a month, $40 a month, something like that. Let's see if I can find this thing. Dadgummit. Where is my stupid account? I'll see if I can find this thing here. Let's see. Screen share is this one. Yeah, there it is. So this is lovable.dev. And I went in and I was like, hey, I want to build a weather dashboard. And I was thinking I would build this for a local kind of potential client. And I said to it, I can go back to the original prompt here, which was like, hey, let's build and deploy an app that allows me to share a specific weather station dashboard with the client. So this is an S2120. It's not a Weather XM, but it looks the same. And it's out in El Monte Valley. And then it came up with like, okay, cool, here it is. I didn't pick any of these colors. I didn't pick the way it looked. I didn't do anything with this other than to say like, this is what I want.
Cool. Yeah.
And then it walked me through because I was like, hey, I don't have Supabase. I've got all this stuff on Google Sheets because I'd done that Medio Scientific tutorial on how to connect Google Sheets to it. And it walked me through doing that. And then I'm like, maybe Supabase is better. Let's totally try Supabase. And it helped me walk through like getting all my data from Google Sheets into Supabase. And then now we have this thing. And of course, as part of this, I went out to check the weather station and some asshole kid had shot the wind vane off with a fucking BB gun. So the wind direction is totally wrong, but the speed is correct. And then there's obviously some stuff here where like the lux isn't coming through, but this is a thing where it's like, I'd said, hey, I want, go ahead.
Well, about how much time did you spend on this? I think that's
So for the first thing that showed up, it showed up in the first prompt. I probably put like, I'll say an hour total into this.
Wow.
Maybe an hour and a half.
I mean, that's already like a massive improvement. It's like, this is effectively the process I went through for the sauna sensor, which I told myself I wasn't going to talk about today because I talk about it every week. But, that was a weekend project. This is like a couple hours. That's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Oh yeah. This is less. I would say this is like a half day weekend project to get something where it's like, I think here obviously there's something not working because the light intensity out there cannot be 0 lux. It's got to be something. I'm guessing the wind direction isn't 0, even though the thing has been shot off. Like it still was spinning when I was out there. So it's like it's not perfect, but by God, for something that takes almost no time, really impressive.
That's super cool. Yeah.
So that was cool. And then the other thing that I found, and this is all like, Kevin made me some AI stuff. Shit, I should do these backgrounds. Was this thing called 11 Reader. Have you heard of this? So the general flow, and I'm going to use this. This won't go into any of the episodes that are covered under the grant, but I'm planning on just doing way more episodes than the grant wants for the MetSci grant. Let me see if I can find this thing. Where did I put this? State of the networks. I think it's right here. Let's see if we can get this to work. There we go. There's our AI thing. Very, very nicely done, Kevin.
Yeah.
I did a thing with OpenAI's ChatGPT. I'm on the Pro thing, so it's $200 a month. Not super cheap, but I think for what you get, it's insanely cheap. And I said, do deep research on this actuarial IoT idea. So tell me, like, at what point and in what cities, like, take a look at all the different cities' energy and water rates, take a look at different business sizes, pull averages from Department of Energy websites, like, just go through this thing and then tell me at what size a business is foolish to not incorporate IoT. So it spits out this long report that is really good, spits out all its sources. I'm sure some of them are not perfect, but they're all good enough. And then from there, you can take it and step one that's ugly and get it to 80% done. 80% done is you download this app called 11 Reader. I've got it on my phone somewhere. I'm sure you can find it if you're just looking on the iTunes store. But I will see if I can dig it up here. And you're like, hey, this thing. You can barely see what it is. But I basically copied and pasted the report, the deep research report, into 11 Reader, and then it read it to me. So what I did was created my own podcast customized to what I was interested about. And then it read through the whole thing so that when I'm driving, instead of like me sitting down and reading this thing, which I love to read the thing and I read it anyway, but it opened this light bulb for me like, oh, you can create now your own podcast for anything you want to know about. So it doesn't matter if it's IoT or a coffee shop or a sauna sensor or sauna health or the impact of sunlight on your eyes or, how many different colors of blue are in a bluebird. Like for me, it's always been like, oh, I've got this question and then you've got to dig around the internet forever to find the answer to it. And typically I like to learn a lot of stuff by podcasts is typically there will be like a podcast that covers half of it. So you've got to listen to an hour-long podcast and they talk about it for like 7 minutes and it's not all the stuff you want talked about. And now this opens up like, oh, you want to know how to onboard a sensor onto Medio Scientific? Like do deep research on that and then build this. And maybe that's too narrow of an example and I've already got a post on it, but something like that, or like I want to listen to this on my drive and at the end of the drive have a really good understanding of this whole part of the thing. Super, super cool stuff. I'm not sure if I skipped around too much, but yeah.
Just watching the troll comment come through now.
Oh, is it? Oh, I should pay attention.
It's the Maximus. No. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let me catch up on these. Shit, I was just talking to the camera.
I know. There was a question Goose asked about. I think Amir posted the Helium CLI tool that would allow you to bring Passpoint into a commercial network. We've talked about this a bit on the show. If you want to throw that in the can thing up there, now's the time. But
good system. Let me take this off and put this on.
The CLI tool is built. Documentation is built. It's on my laptop. I need to push a PR.
Okay.
We're just in some final testing on the Solana transaction stuff, so it should be very soon. I keep saying by the end of the week, but things happen. But yeah, you soon will be able to onboard any Passpoint capable Wi-Fi network as a Helium data transferring entity. The big caveat here is that the onboarded gateway, we can't confirm the location, we can't confirm speed tests. There's sort of a bunch of stuff where it doesn't sort of meet the bar of a gateway that you're going to go put from with all the other software on it. So it only transfers data for Helium Mobile and does not do carrier offload. But there's almost no overhead to do so. So it's kind of a cool, like, if I already have the network, why wouldn't I go plug this thing in? If you want access into that carrier offload stuff, if you're trying to do this at more of a commercial scale, things like that, that's where you can go contact the Nova Labs team, and they can do the full onboard and go and do the carrier offload activation, all that other stuff, pending their approval and all that, of course. So that's kind of the entry point, if you will, for network conversion stuff. And then this other thing is called Helium Plus, and that's the full-blown approach. But it is the exact same stack underneath.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just a sucker for like hardware, Joey. And I get that I could walk into the coffee shop that's like 5 blocks down the street and be like, hey, you guys should just do this PassPoint thing, and I'll walk you through it. But I just would rather like walk in there with hardware and be like, hey, put this thing in your wall. This is rad. And it works out of the gate.
And for most of the like smaller stuff, that is going to be the right approach. But it's once you start talking to like hotels and restaurant chains and all these people that have like enterprise grade stuff, that's where, a little bit of a conversion with existing hardware makes the IT scaries and all that other stuff go away.
Yeah. The IT scaries. Nice one.
Yeah.
Good. It's amazing. Well, fuck it. I'm going to put up hardware. It's like way more fun for me. I had one more thing. It just briefly flashed here that Kevin made for us. I thought was rad. I should probably be way better about this whole YouTuber thing. And I think Kevin has given me a subtle hint, like quit fucking around and make sure that you explicitly ask for some help here. So if you're watching this, and there's 60 some of you that are, thanks a ton. Please make sure you hit, the likes, whatever you're supposed to fucking hit on YouTube, hit that shit, so that the intent here is in the first 10 minutes of the show, we go through all the news in DePIN that is out there and relevant, so that you don't have to hunt around and find it. There's nothing in there. Well, there's not nothing, because every so often Joey and I will have some like insider information, or we'll be early on something and we'll help you out with it. But the intent is not to be like a tell-all secret sharing thing. It's just to make it way easier for you to figure out what's going on in DePIN news. And then after the first 10 minutes or so, usually it's Joey and I talking about Helium stuff, although we'll talk about all kinds of other pieces as well. Like everything is on the table, and we've gone in many different directions. And then both of us have this fascination with IoT in general, so it's into IoT pieces. So if you're doing that stuff, I would love to have you spread the word by doing the like, subscribe, whatever, like all the fucking YouTube stuff.
Oh yeah, I even did the YouTube like reactions for Kevin the other day.
Oh, nice.
Unfortunately, I don't think he screenshotted me. So, yeah.
And then you
gotta work the system.
Yeah, we totally do. Let's see. So that's that, and then Zerp Twerp. We got this question here. Real question though. I live in an apartment complex, first floor. My window faces the center of the entire complex. Am I like the best candidate for Helium node? Anything else I should absolutely do? Two ways to answer this question.
That one's a gray area. Yeah. I mean, if only, so the way this carrier offload stuff and all this happens is if that user's phone has the ability to connect to their existing Wi-Fi, it's not going to connect to Helium Mobile. So it's always going to prioritize like those onboarded networks and stuff. Like you wouldn't want your phone on cellular when you're at home. You want it on your Wi-Fi.
Right.
And so if this apartment complex is just people who live there, then it probably doesn't really make sense to go and, do a deployment like that.
Yep.
However, if you have the Uber Eats drivers, the, DoorDash, all that kind of stuff, if you have friends, like parties come through, if there's a gym, if there's a co-working space, stuff like that, if you can start to provide coverage in those areas, now you're going to touch a base of folks that is is not always around. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that high traffic, slow moving people that you're really looking for. So hopefully that helps paint a picture a bit.
Yeah, I think that's super useful. I think I'm psyched that I saw the Explorer thing because it's funny because I don't get anything out of selling Helium Mobile. It's not like there's some commission or something. It's just exciting to see on the map. If I could see that our little street, Adams Ave in Normal Heights, San Diego, California, is like, oh, there's like 6 Helium hotspots here, and there's no place on, I'd always call it Main Street, USA, but the actual name is Adams. There's no place on Adams that you are not covered by Helium. That would be super cool.
I'll throw my little strategy thing out here. Is the core part of this design for World was to really focus on the utility. So as you work through that site, you'll notice you're not going to see a lot about proof. You actually don't see nothing about proof of coverage. The story is about data, unique users, and then we'll talk about, of course, the reward that you see for that work that is done.
Yep.
But so that is the core of what we're trying to drive in that platform.
Yeah, super cool. Let's see. Zerptorp is asking about the range. It must be cool. Welcome to Helium, dude. I always am super stuck up about like I've been here forever, but it's like I'm a fucking idiot because we need way more people that have not been here forever and they're coming in and asking questions. So thanks for asking questions. Range in general, I don't know, it was like 300 to 1,000 feet max.
I give it closer to 300. Like get inside the building any chance you can. If you're outside pointed in, you're going to be blocked by walls, by trees, like stuff like that. And the phone is going to make the decision not to connect to those networks when the signal quality is poor. So you could give it a shot. You can kind of see what happens and like track those numbers on World and see. But ultimately try to drive to like get that thing indoors, blast it straight in the front door, like whatever thing you can try there.
Yeah. So it's like, I think the key, and you said it, Joey, was high footfall, slow traffic that isn't on the Wi-Fi already.
Yep. Yeah. So like they're not home, if you will, or, sometimes an office, right? Like those people are going to be connected to their office network.
Yep. And you're saying rock throwing distance, your rock throwing and my rock throwing might be different. Zerptorp, I'm not the greatest thrower. I would say that's like at the edge of what you'd want. You'd want the more like, you could spear them with a 12-foot spear distance. That will fucking crush. Like think about like who could you kill with an old Roman gladiator spear? That's the kind of fucking place you want.
I don't know. Those gladiator movies, this thing's just sore. So.
Yeah. No, it's like as the spear is touching your hand, if you can murder someone with that spear while you're still touching it, you're in a great spot for Helium.
That's too short. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things. It's like if you're in a high noise area, you're not going to see the thing go as far as if you're in a low noise. So just try to be close. I think is really the takeaway there.
Yeah.
Or set up an IoT gateway. Those are an HNT too.
Yeah. Those are. I mean, I'm fascinated by the things, and it's super cool thing to have been talking with a couple of buddies about building out some IoT based businesses around it, leveraging the MetSci stuff I'm already doing. So it can be rad. Yep. All right, dude. Well, that's the end of the hour. I think, what was it? I think there's a Wi-Fi DABA space, whatever the DePIN thing was, on X. So if you're already on X and you're watching this, go check those guys out. I think WeatherXM is going to talk to there. I forget what it was. I read it off at the top of the news. It should be in the description, but you can find it. So yeah, stay tuned, and we'll see you guys. Was it next week, right?
Yeah.
All right. Rock and roll, Joey. Thanks for coming on.
Some more announcements.
Yeah. Is there more coming? Is there?
Oh. Nothing. No, we're done. There's nothing left.
It's over. All right, guys. I will see you later. And Zerptorp, I cook my steak pretty damn rare. All right. See you guys later.
Bye.